When it comes to commercial snow removal, look to Tovar Snow Professionals. With the largest snow and ice management fleet in the Midwest, Tovar delivers top-notch commercial sidewalk and parking lot clearing services, even in winter's worst weather conditions. With their 24-hour live office staff, certified meteorologists, and personal service, they are leaders in professional snow removal. To get a free estimate for snow removal on your site, go to baseball.tovarsnow.com or call 844-GO-TOVAR. That number again is 844-GO-TOVAR. Tovar Snow Professionals, Chicago's snow plowing leader. Tovar is an equal opportunity employer.
We're Cubs fans helping Cubs fans at Stewart's Cubs Cave parties. Everybody's in for giving back to those in need. We're going to Club 400. Club 400. We're going to Club 400. Club 400. We're going to Club 400 Radio.
Club 400 podcast is back in effect, and we're actually released an episode on time. Can you believe it?
No, it's all good.
John actually got you the file on time,
Yeah, right down to the last minute.
and we actually released it on a Sunday night.
Hey, you know what? It was a little rough, but it's like riding the bike. You get back on, and
It ended really rough.
Here
we
we
were
are.
we were kind of like, yeah, this is about as much as we could talk about, and then we just shut up.
So one of the most, and I want to talk about this for a little bit. One of the most frequent questions I get about Club 400 is, how did you get the name of Club 400? And the answer is simple, because my two passions in life are basically music and baseball. I love music and I love baseball.
where does Lisa fit into that? And Lauren. Oh, boy.
Hey, you can delete that part, right?
Yeah, I
sorry.
might delete it.
But, I mean, those are the things that I really love. So I basically combine the fact that when you go on Wrigley Field, you go to the 400 sign, get your picture. It's like one of the main places to do it. And then, so that was the 400 part of it. And the club was like, I wanted a fun place to hang out and party at. So Club 400 was about one of 5 names that I had chose. Club 400 stuck with me, and that's where we're at right now because of my love for music and baseball. And speaking of music and baseball,
Now, hold up. Before we move on, what were the other names that were the option?
you know what? I honestly don't remember.
They don't even matter
They didn't
anymore.
stick with it because you said you did say Club 400 stuck with you, which means the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I actually
In the
asked
wind.
my brother, I
does.
asked my mom, I asked Lisa what we should call this place, and I thought at the time that this place deserves to have a name, and I guess it did.
Yeah.
You know? So, by the way, Club 400 podcasts. We also do events. We're up to over $390,000 right now for money raised for charity. But let's talk about music for a second. My passion, besides baseball.
Well, and baseball and music have always been intertwined since way back in the 1800s.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing. And our guest today, which we'll bring him on in a little bit, is Gary Pressy, the former organist of the Chicago Cubs. I remember memories going back to when my mom brought me to Wrigley Field. And, you know, the organ was such a big part of the atmosphere of Wrigley Field and still is to this day.
Yeah.
And, like, basically ever since I became a Cub fan, Gary Pressy's been on the organ. And back in the day, almost every single game, Wayne Mesmer was the national anthem singer. So it's part of bringing these guys back to Club 400. We asked Gary to actually come out for the Christmas party. He's actually a smart man, and he's headed down south for the winter. So he's no dummy, that guy.
He is not.
Well, I think Oregon, the Oregon in Chicago is more than just something that the Cubs had, because the former organist before Pressy was Frank Pellico, and now he's with the Blackhawks and has been about as long as Pressy's been with the Cubs now.
Yeah, I think Gary said that he lost out to that gentleman in 1984, that year the Cubs baseball changed forever. And that he only must have worked for the Cubs till 87. That's when Gary took over. But now I didn't know that. He's the Blackhawks guy.
Yeah,
Huh?
Frank Pellico.
I did not know that.
He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does the national anthem with Jim Cornelison every time, where the crowd is just rowdy, about as loud as it gets in the room.
And John here, as we know, is a musician himself. musician. Did I say that right? I didn't say magician. I said a musician.
Yeah, I'm a
Oh,
magician.
he's a magician too.
I'm a magician.
He's a magic man.
He
on the
disappears a
board.
lot. I know he doesn't show up half the time we ask him to be here, but
That's what 50 hours a week will do to you, man.
but he does live in McHenry, where my old hometown is. So he has a little bit of drive to get here. So
Mactown.
appreciate
Yeah.
it. We're gonna have to.
And I
Surprised he
get-
hasn't gave me any gas receipts yet.
Right. They're coming. He's bulking them up.
They're on one of those like pegs you have on your desk, with,
Right.
like the receipts. Like here,
It's like
reimburse.
It's like one of my employees gave me 2 months of gas receipts.
Yeah.
Where do these come from? Yeah.
Driving.
But anyways, let's talk about music for a second. I mean, I'm sure everybody loves music. It's it's what makes you get through your days a lot of time. But I'm gonna ask this question. We're gonna do some baseball songs in here, but I'll start with Johnny. Johnny, your last concert you went to?
Last concert.
Yeah,
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
He went through Chicago in October, and he can't walk anymore. He's got back problems or whatever, so he can't drum. So his 17-year-old son was on tour with him, and he's unbelievable. You would not believe this kid was only 17, but his voice sounds exactly like it always has.
Phil Collins used to be a part of the group
Come on now.
Chicago.
Come on.
No,
You said you're a music fan?
from the beginning.
Oh,
Dude,
Genesis.
Oh, my
Genesis, dude.
You just broke my heart,
Well, I'm just
man.
saying. In high school, I used to listen to Genesis, and I had some love songs in there that I used to give the girls. I used to, hey, this song is dedicated to you.
Yeah, right.
I actually one of those songs was Sheriff. When I'm with you.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
I just heard it today.
No.
Yeah, I did.
That's one of those obscure ones that comes on 93.1 every now and again. But
What's your next? You have any concerts planned, John?
planned?
Yeah, coming up.
Not
No?
really. I entered the employment world since then, and it's been kind of overtaking my life, which is okay. It means
Okay.
I'm getting paid, but I have no time to do really anything except Clip for 100 podcasts and work. So
William, last concert, next concert.
Last concert was the Steven Tyler extravaganza. in
I
Woodstock.
guess I could have said that one.
Yeah,
I was okay. That was kind of a surprise.
That was a
concert.
group
Okay.
outing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, John showed up all hungover,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to go until I told him it was Steven Tyler. Then he changed his mind automatically.
Right.
I didn't believe you at first. I'm just like, Woodstock?
Yeah, right.
What? And
It's our good friends at Bunker Hill.
after all, there he was.
That was a good show.
That was a really good
definitely.
And then
My next one will be probably. I have seen the Rolling Stones. Every one of their. This is our last tours,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're done now. So they'll have one more. So I'll probably go to that.
They're the
next
Brett
one.
Favre of bands.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you, Stu?
Well, I would have to say my last concert was Steven Tyler too. That's it was recent, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but before that was DMX at House of Blues
Oh, yeah.
because that's how hardcore I rolled.
Wait,
dude.
didn't you see Buddy Guy?
Buddy Guy was who's he
Metro.
with? Oh, that was Hot Stove Cool Music.
Yeah.
Theo's Epstein's charity event that he has every
yeah,
year.
Lynn Bramer was hosting that
And that's
one,
another
yeah.
way of baseball and music go together, and that's why we're talking about this with Gary coming on here because music and baseball. But my next concert, I got a couple coming up, but Mumford and Sons, I love them.
Oh, yeah. I love Mumford.
And right now, I'm pretty hot on the Lumineers album,
Oh,
which
I-
is great.
No kidding.
Yeah, I love Lumineers.
I didn't
dude.
peg you a loop. Yeah, I didn't peg you a
yeah.
Lumineers
I didn't
fan.
either. Now I'm going to have to check it out. 'cause
And
I-
yeah, I hate to say it to the listeners out there. I am a fan of Coldplay. Not that they have a concert coming up, but I listen to all kinds of music. Rap was what I grew up on, and now I'm all over the map. But
Wow.
I'm going to Kenny Chesney this year too in Milwaukee,
go,
so
man.
it's gonna be good.
Nice.
I respect that you're all over the map
I'm all over.
because there's crappy artists in every genre and there's great artists in every genre. I think
Right,
it's all about taste.
it is. You got to move around a little bit. You got to
yeah.
try different things. You can't have a hamburger every single day, William.
Right, you cannot. You
Well,
absolutely
you
cannot.
could, but you die.
So I don't know if you guys know this. I did my research today, and there's been a huge history of music and baseball going back to like every single team has had theme songs since like the 20s.
Well, you know
and-
the '84 WGN Cubs theme song that lasted for like 20 years.
right.
Yeah, you don't. You don't.
I'm not going to sing it.
Oh,
Did
come
you
on.
want to sing a bar or two?
Well,
Go ahead.
come on.
No, go ahead.
Hey Chicago, what do
No,
you
man.
say? You're talking about that one.
When
right?
when WGN would introduce the Cubs, like
Jump,
the graphic.
jump,
yes.
jump.
Yeah. There you go.
Van Halen.
Go
dude.
ahead and jump.
So there's that, and then kind of more recently, or I thought it was more recently, was this whole walk up, your walk up song.
Yeah.
You know how long that's been going on?
It's been going on a while.
Like 10 years.
Cubs were like one of the last teams that actually adopted it.
You know who the first player was?
Who?
You said 10 years. How long ago?
Oh, I'm going to say Mariano Rivera,
Okay.
his walk up.
What do you got?
First player on any team.
Ever.
Because he's been doing that.
Well, I'm gonna
Enter
guess.
Sandman
I'm gonna
since
guess
the
a
90s.
big market. Yeah, I'm gonna go
I'm
Yankees. It was Yankees. I bet you.
It was not. It was
Dodgers?
actually Lou Brock,
Wow.
1971. And
Okay,
his
that's
Was
walk
it the Carpenters or something?
That's way.
and his walk-up song, and by the way, it was played on the organ there, was the theme from Shaft.
Are you kidding
I
me?
swear to God. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Shaft.
Yep.
That's hilarious. How do you play that on the organ? That's interesting.
I don't know.
That's
I
a
would
lot
love
of
to
jazz
hear it
chords.
now.
Yeah, I kinda
Well,
do.
you're the guy that could answer that question because he knows how to play the organ.
Right.
What?
I
was just
I,
wondering.
I have never played a musical
We should ask-
instrument in my life.
We should ask Gary when we have him on if he's
Yeah.
ever played the theme from
I think I
Shaft.
will ask him what the most obscure song he's ever played.
That's a good
Because I've
question.
heard him whip out some weird stuff, and they're like so much. It's so weird that like the announcers be like, "What's he playing? How about that?" And like they
Right.
recognize it, but it's like they never expect an organist to play it. So I can't wait to talk to him, pick his brain a little bit.
All right, top 5 favorite baseball themed songs or songs that remind you of baseball.
Oh, we're doing that now. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well,
I'll
you got
tell
it.
you what. I actually William asked me to write down a few.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna go for one off that you guys. I don't even know if you heard of, but I'd like you to play it at the end of this episode.
Okay.
Because I think it's an awesome song.
All right.
Kenny Rogers sang a song called "The Greatest." And it was based on a little boy playing Little League baseball who thought he was the greatest baseball player of all time. Have you guys ever heard that song?
I have not. Is it going to make me cry?
It's just a really great song.
I
And
like
I
Kenny
forgot
Rogers.
about it. I started Googling like best baseball songs, and I remember this song. I mean, I don't remember the lyrics or anything, but I just remember, I'm like, man, this is a hidden gem right here. This is a great song. Kenny Rogers. Let's
All right.
go after some other ones, guys.
John, who do you got?
My number 5, I put center field. John Fogerty.
That's got to be up there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
got to
pretty,
be.
pretty simple.
But it's still not my top 4. I mean, that's number
Yeah,
5.
that's 5.
So there's
My number 5 is a song called Talking Baseball, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
okay.
We're
Old
talking
school. You got it, yeah.
baseball. We're talking baseball. And the
Yeah,
but
they rewrote it for every
Yes,
team,
they
too.
did,
So,
yes,
Wow.
they did,
Yeah, really cool. Probably 70s,
That takes
80s
effort,
stuff.
man.
Yeah. Yep.
Something I was going to do at my wedding, like I was going to hire a guitarist and sing this song.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't, because it was like sounded really cool at the time, and it just didn't work
You had
out.
some liquid courage flowing through your veins.
A
and you're
dying
like,
Cubs fan's last request
Oh,
by
yeah.
Steve
Steve
Goodman. Now that is a classic song,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
a depressing song, but basically about a Cub fan who
I'm
was
sh-
dying who never saw the World Series.
I'm sure you got another Steve Goodman song on there.
Oh yes,
Okay.
go Cubs go!
Let's hope.
We all know "Go Cubs Go"
Everybody does.
was written by Steve Goodman, and the year that he wrote it, I think the year it came out was 1984,
Mhm.
and he died before the season ended. I hope I'm right. He passed away from leukemia.
I thought it was just right before the season started.
Maybe it was, but it was.
That's
before-
why it was so
I know he
prominent.
didn't see the Cubs win the World.
No.
I mean the. Oh, no one saw the Cubs win the World Series up until
My great
2016.
grandma was born in 1914, died in 07. Never even ever saw him win it. That's so depressing. It's okay.
One of my favorites, like because I got a little rap, but this was kind of like this song came out after Super Bowl Shuffle, and the Cubs tried to pull off a Super Bowl Shuffle, and it didn't really stick or hit. But Men in Blue, do you guys remember that song?
No.
I'll sing a little song. You ready?
Go for it.
Here's to you, Men in Blue. You're the cream of the crop. You're a team built on steam. You'll go right to the top. And sure as there's ivy on the center field wall, the Men in Blue are gonna win it all. You guys have never heard that?
I have not.
That last stanza,
Oh,
I think I heard that little last part of Men in Blue are
I'm
going
going
to
to
win
look
it
that
all.
up.
I know that Jody Davis sang in that song. Our good friend Bud Light, Jody Davis.
Jody Davis.
Rick Sutcliffe sang in that song.
Oh, that's another song, by the way, the Jody Davis song. Jody.
Yeah, Jody Davis.
All right, what's your next one, Johnny?
I I'm a huge fan of The Sandlot. I'm sure all of us are.
I only watched The Sandlot like last year for the first time in my life.
Are you kidding me?
Never watched it.
I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, so there's a scene, the 4th of July scene, where they're playing underneath the fireworks, and Ray Charles' America the Beautiful is playing in the background with that awesome piano lick. So that's my favorite version of that song, and every time I hear it, it reminds me of night baseball in the midsummer. Nice. And then my number 3 is Green Onions by Booker T.
Green Onions? Never heard of that one.
Oh, sure you have.
know it, yeah.
Everyone knows Green Onions. I could probably pull it up real quick. Go ahead, Bill.
I had Glory Days by Bruce Springsteen.
Classic. Okay. A classic.
That's my number 2.
And my number 3 was Tessie by the Dropkick Murphys.
Like it. And
interesting.
I love Dropkick Murphys. One of my favorite bands. That we have a autograph signed baseball on the wall. It was the World Series. I think it was the first year they won the World Series, signed by all the members of the band.
Oh, cool.
That's how much I love Dropkick Murphys.
Nice.
So I'm all over the place, I told you.
All right, here's Green Onions.
Oh,
you know that.
Yeah. All right.
I think they played at Woodstock.
Probably. But yeah, music is such an integral part of baseball and life in general.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to, we've all been to a lot of baseball games, but how many games do we actually remember? Not many, but you remember the atmosphere. You remember the sounds. You remember the smells.
You remember the songs.
And then Gary brought a lot to us. So we're going to bring Gary on here, and we're going to get a little bit of, this guy lived the dream. Mm-hmm. He actually lived the dream. And we'll bring Gary on right now.
Playing his 2400th consecutive game, Cubs organist Gary Pressy.
Thank you, Andy. And I'd like to have the world's greatest fans join me to take me out to the ball game for the 2400th time. So let me hear you. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. I don't care if I ever get back for its root for the Cubbies. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Thank you, fans. Go Cubs.
The Club 400 podcast is proud to present Gary Pressy. Gary, I'll tell you what, you have lived the dream, man. I've done my homework, and your story is remarkable. First of all, congratulations on your 33 years playing the organ at Wrigley Field, span of 3 decades. Unbelievable.
Thank you very much, Stu. I always say it's a third of a century.
And, the amazing thing is, I think this is the most important thing I want to get to our listeners today. And make sure you tell your kids this. Whatever your dreams are, go for it.
You got it.
Because, Gary, honestly, your Hollywood story here, tell us how, you got started. It's unbelievable. Just amazing.
Well, I've always liked sports and music. And when I was 5 years old, I'd be in the backyard by my grandparents with vines on the wall, on the garage wall, and imitating Jack Brickhouse, Sano, Williams, the umpires, the whole 9 yards. I would hum the national anthem, and then I would do Take Me Out to the Ball Game later. And so it was in me that young. And when I was in second grade, we had a class project, what do you want to be? And so I want to be an organist for a professional baseball team. And the teacher said, well, go for it. So that was unbelievable that I knew at that young age that's what I wanted to do.
The fact that you were so successful at it, you played for one of the most storied franchises in all of baseball.
Yeah, right. You ain't kidding.
That's what I'm trying to say. If you put your mind to it like Gary did at 5 years old, playing at his grandma's house, looking at vines.
Yeah, really.
You know?
And and my team would always win. That's the good thing. There was no 69 Cubs slump that year.
Yeah, just like I was going to say, just like the Cubs.
Yeah, and when I threw out the first pitch on my last game, that invisible batter was up there, and the catcher called for a pitch out. The pitch was just a bit outside, but no, seriously, that's what I always wanted to do, and so when I was 18 years old, I started playing the organ at an ice rink in Crestwood, and then the doors opened up for me to play for the Chicago Sting soccer team. John McDonough was involved in that. The Chicago Hustle women's basketball team, DePaul College, Loyola, and the beat went on.
Yeah, and then 1987 was your first year with the Chicago Cubs. That was the year that my favorite guy of all time, my idol Harry Carey, had a stroke that year, correct?
Right. He did not. He missed the first month and a half. I did 3 games in 1986. I did the last 3 games in '86. So Harry was there. But in '87, they would have guest announcers: Brent Musburger, Bill Murray, Ernie Howell. And so Harry came on, I believe it was mid-May, like May 19th. And that was the first time in '87 that I accompanied him on taking me out to the ballgame.
And one thing as a young kid growing up, Gary, was tell us about your relationship with Harry Carey, because he'd always mention your name. Gary, are you ready over there, everybody? A 1, a 2. Tell us about your relationship with Harry, because I mean, he kind of brought you, outside of the spotlight. To the spotlight, right?
To the spotlight, yeah. Because it's funny, because especially at the Cubs convention, they would say, "Oh, you're Gary," and so Harry would. I would say about 80% of the time, "Okay, Gary, let me hear you, 1 or 2 or 3," and he was very cordial. But he took that, should I say, event very seriously. And I mean, he wasn't Sinatra by no means. But one time we had a little problem with the sound system, so it was kind of mumble jumble. And he comes after the game. He was not happy. He said, "Gary, what the heck happened?" Didn't say heck. He said hell. I said, "Well, I think it was the sound system." He said, "Well, fix it, darn it." And he didn't say darn it. So, I mean, he wanted to be heard, and everybody, you got 40,000 people looking up, 80,000 eyes looking up at Harry, and when he sings the stretch, and he knew it. He knew it too. That was his time to shine. Not that he didn't the other 9 innings, but he took it seriously, and he loved it. He loved every minute of it.
Gary, did you play the organ by ear, or do you read notes?
I do both. I read notes. I also, God bless me, that I had a good ear to pick up songs that I could kind of like do spontaneously when something goes on the field that would dictate that type of song. So that's a pretty good advantage when you could pick it up by ear.
And then do you have a plan of what you're going to play when, or is it all just by feel of what's going on in the game and what's happening with the crowd and all of that kind of thing? Yeah,
before the game, obviously, when I was doing pregame, you kind of line up what you want to do. But then you get sometimes during pregame, the usher comes up with a request, "Oh, can you play this? Or can you play that? This aisle 416 wants to hear this." So you do that. But during the game, a lot of it is spontaneous. I mean, if the Cubs are down a couple runs, and not that the crowd needs to get going because they're always on a roll, but you just want to jack up a little more energy into the program, and so you try to get the crowd influenced so that the team could score some runs.
Gary, I was going to ask you, people know this. It's not like I'm telling anybody that, but you have a remarkable memory. Like every time you listen to any interviews with Gary, he'll tell you the exact day and date it happened.
Well,
how was that since day one? Have you always had that gift of memory, and how has that played into your career as being an organist for the Cubs? I mean,
Well, I mean, one of my favorite opening days as a kid was April 12th, 1965, Cubs Cardinals 10-10 tie call because of darkness. I mean, I just remember stuff like that. And I think you have to be a baseball fan for the job that you have. Also, you got to be a good musician. I don't think you need to know exact dates and all that, but I was always enthralled by listening to games and putting it in the back of my mind, dates and scores and events. It's a weird thing, but again, God blessed me with that.
I mean, he really did. I can't remember what I did yesterday.
Well, I remember 8/8/88.
Oh my
who
God!
doesn't?
That's the only one I remember being at.
Yeah, that was the first night game. Sandberg homered in the bottom of the first after Morgana wanted to give him a little kiss. And then what did we go, 3.5 innings, and then it rained.
And then the rains came.
And Lancaster and Jody and Maddox did the old top swimming. That was a weird night. That was a crazy night.
So, Gary, you're such a big part of Wrigley Field for the last 33 years. I mean, we were saying before we brought you on, the sights and the sounds and the smells of the ballpark make it come alive. And it was you who really made the ballpark, for me, come alive every single day I was there. And I'm going to definitely miss it.
What are we going to do next year?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have your – this is a question, John. I was wondering – everybody has their own style, right? So, I mean, the Gary Pressy years
repertoire.
Yeah. Is that repertoire?
Yeah, well, repertoire. Yeah, they set up. But I
That's
always
a fancy word.
Yeah, no. And I've been to United Center. They got Frank Pellico over there. He's got a certain tone that he's chosen, the different patches and
everybody has their own little technique that they do. I mean, it's just like when you got batters, not to put this into perspective, but a batting stance.
Yeah,
everybody's different. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to compare that with the style as a musician, kind of a bad maybe put together, but no, everybody has their own gift inside them, and you take it with you and you just try the best. Now, you were saying that how you enjoyed my music.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe the last month, the cards, the letters, the Twitters. I mean, it's crazy. People really, really got out of their way to thank me, and I deeply appreciate that so much.
And it's well deserved, Gary. Come on.
Well, thanks.
And the last game of your career, there was fans that specifically stayed behind.
I know.
And your last song was "My Way."
My Way by Sinatra. Yeah.
And I mean, what a great choice, because we're talking since you were a little boy at 5. This was your dream, and you accomplished it. You accomplished it. Not only did you accomplish it, I mean, you had 33 years there, and you didn't miss one game.
No, I didn't. And was it 2,687? It would have been nice if we had about 8 more, but be that as it may. No, that, and again, it's the Almighty God giving you the blessings of your help and that, and also, dedication and loyalty, and you do see that in a lot of people in their work, and you don't in others. But I was just one that was fortunate enough to have that dedication and loyalty.
So I know, what you never missed a day of work. I mean, there's had to be days you didn't feel like going.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, there was one that if the oatmeal didn't stay down, I'd have a problem. But the oatmeal stayed down, so I was okay.
What's the game plan for that? If you wouldn't have, I mean, we'll never know. But
well,
if
exactly. I don't. Maybe they would have gone with CDs. I really don't know. That was the organization. Yeah.
Okay.
What's the thing about Wrigley is Wrigley in and of itself is a constant. I mean, everyone who is alive pretty much today has only ever seen Wrigley and tied it with the Cubs in Chicago. And for me, I was born in '94, so I'm basically a fetus.
Oh, you're a young pup.
Yeah. So
a young pup.
Exactly. I was going to Wrigley before I could talk, and you had the same. I don't know how you managed to do it. And I really wanted to ask you about it, like how you chose the certain tone that's on that organ, because it's been largely the same for this whole time. It's slightly reverb. There's a little bit of flute and a little bit of percussion in there. I can hear it, and it's
in the rhythms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I was lucky. Lowry Organ Company was so good and so great, and they made some great instruments.
Yeah.
And the one they have there now is unbelievable. And before that, it's been a Lowry since 1967 over there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, and like you said, you know, the acoustics and the reverbs, and it just, you try to put it all together, and hopefully that it works. Sounds good, at least.
And that's the depressing thing for someone like me. I mean, that, you know, the sound of Gary Pressy, it's not going to be there anymore. I mean, there's going to be someone to replace you. Life moves on and everything like that, but it's not going to be the Gary Pressy style, you know?
Right.
Well, again, thank you very much, but everything comes to an end. Ernie Banks retired, and someone took his place, you know what I'm saying? So it's Billy Williams played for the Cubs so many years, and he was traded to Oakland, and somebody replaced him. So, you know, you just go on. Life goes on.
Well, we always, you know, we've had over 30 Major League ball players over here, and one of the questions we usually ask them, and one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because I think it was pretty cool, I did hear the story about the day that you found out you got hired by the Chicago Cubs. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, this was before cell phones. So this was in '87 on April Fool's Day, and I was doing the organ at the Southwest Ice Arena, and then we went over there to do a tournament. And John McDonough calls home, and good old Mom answers, #1 fan, and he tells my mom, "I know you mothers, you know, you always say the good news. Let me call him at the rink and let me tell him the news." So my mom gave him the number. He called the Southwest Arena. I was there, and in front of all my friends over there, and they really celebrated, and it was cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then 33 years to, you know, basically this October,
Right.
You called Wrigley Field your home and your job.
In my office. Yeah. In my office. And
Tell us about some of your, tell us about your routine as far as like home game 120. Let's say your day has you get started.
He might give us specifically 120, so be careful.
That's right. Not 121. It's 120. Yeah. Extra commercial, it's 122. So we'll stop playing the organ around 11 o'clock after the Cubs take batting practice, and then the visitors take the batting practice, and then I would take that up till around 12:30, and then Andy, AB, will start his announcements and interlude little music, and we throw the first pitch at 120.
And going into a game, did you research the opponents, and did you bring in certain songs in for those guys too, or are you strictly really concentrating on the Cubs team?
No, it's both teams. I mean, there's a catchy name on the other side of the ledger. We'll try to accompany that. And obviously now the Cubs have walk-up music, so they have their own music that they want when they bat. But that doesn't influence what I do when the Cubs bat, because I'm there to get the crowd, keep the crowd going, and keep them interested in the game, which is not a hard thing to do with Cub fans.
Yeah, and the Cubs pretty much stayed strong with tradition for a very long time. Like, they didn't play walk-up music until, what was it, 2015?
15, you got it.
That's what I thought.
That's when they put the big board in, yeah.
And that kind of changed things a little bit, not only with that, but with the Dixieland Band, who've been out here a few times. Who I love those guys.
Oh, yeah, those guys. Yeah, I guess they're still around.
Yeah.
But they're outside the ballpark.
Right, exactly. So let me ask you this: as far as like, this is something I want to ask you. You're sitting up there, and you know you have a job to do. How do you follow the ball? I mean, are you watching the game?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, every pitch. We have a monitor up there too, but I watch what goes on the field, because you never know. You may have an opportunity to check something on the organ that would go with what's going on the field. So. And you have to be, obviously, you mind your P's and Q's. I got a cute story to tell you about umpires. Bruce Fremming, our friend, who Mil Pappas dearly loved, he called me up one day in the morning, and he says, "Are you the organist?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, my aunt and uncle are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, and I want to give them a bouquet of flowers in the 5th inning. Can you play Let Me Call You Sweetheart?" I said, "No problem." So he was very, very nice, and to that day until he retired, every time they would exchange the lineup cards, he looked up and give me a wave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Bruce.
That's really cool.
That was Bruce's other side.
Yeah, right. That's great.
As far as your relationships with, let's say specifically Chicago Cub players, did you get feedback from those guys at certain points? Because there was no walk-up music. They say, "Hey, Gary, can you play me this? Can you do this for me?" Or
No, not really. I'll tell you that the guys who were really interactive was Mark Grace, because he was in the movie Taking Care of Business. So when he'd be warming up on the sidelines, I would sometimes pump that song out, and he would turn and give me the wave. Jody Davis would put his hand over his heart when I would play Dixie. I mean, and those guys, Sandberg, it doesn't get any better. And Ben Zolvis is a great guy. He was up there doing a commercial in the score booth, and I was sitting at the organ. He come by and he stopped and he looked. He turned on. He come back. He says, "I got to take a selfie with you. This is where the organ is." So I mean, he's a great guy.
Now you did have a CD released at some point, which I have.
Okay.
And I will tell the listeners this. Gary was out here for the Rizzo event. I'm just going to tell you how cool of a guy Gary is, okay? He came out, he played the Rizzo event, which, by the way, I have your organ here, one of your organs that you used. How many organs did you have while you worked at Wrigley?
I believe there were 3.
So I have one of them.
Yes, you do. You're batting. Yeah, you're batting. Well, there was at 33 again.
And I believe that was used from 1993 to 2004. And I can't tell you how much an honor it was for you to be here and to put, this was my dream, and to have the sounds of Wrigley inside, my dream was unbelievable. And I swear to God, about a year later, Gary reaches out to me. He's got his own bobblehead, which actually plays the organ music, and he sent me a bobblehead and a very nice note, which is located right now. I don't know if you know this, Gary. I put your note in there, too, with the bobblehead, in one of the class cases displayed here in Club 400. The fact that you remembered us a year later and sent me a bobblehead out of the kindness of your heart, I have to thank you for that, because I really appreciate it. And that was a limited edition. That was a limited edition, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, you remember good people. I think they made 500 of them. Right. And I'm glad you got one. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. And that's a cute one. They did that in 2016, and you press the little button on the keyboard, and it plays my version of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," but not singing version, just the organ version. Thank God.
I was fortunate to see a couple of yours when you did the stretch yourself.
I did. I think I did 4 times at the stretch.
Yeah.
And you're playing and you're singing at the same time, which is
multitasking. What can you say, right?
You are a multitasker. I'll tell you that.
Speaking of that, how many foul balls do you think you got over the course of time?
Well, the first 2 years we were down the right field line, we were getting shot out there. We had like 5 or 6 of them coming to booth. But since they moved to the other booth, 1. And it hit the fax machine, and that just shows you how long ago that was. And Henry Rodriguez hit it. And it hit the fax machine and bounced out.
Really? Oh, Henry, huh?
Yeah, exactly. We've had a squirrel come up there and drink a Pepsi on the ledge. We have a whole bunch of things going on in that booth. It's an animal fest. We had a bat up there, a squirrel. We had spiders. They're not animals, but spiders rolling around. But hey, that's Wrigley Field for you. Yeah, birds. We had a bird nest.
Oh, wow.
They love the PA booth. What can I say?
As far as going to Wrigley Field, and that being your job, and looking out, because you have one of the best views in Wrigley Field. Like,
it is. It really is.
Like, you're going to go back. You're not, just because you're retired now, you're going to go back to Wrigley Field and you're going to sit in the stands, right, and drink maybe a cold beer and watch a game once in a while, right?
Yeah, I'm sure the doors aren't going to be shut on me over there.
and you won't have to pay for a ticket, right? I mean, you're going to.
I would hope. Yeah, that's right. Or double price. I don't know what it would be. Scalpers tickets, huh? No, but they were very. The Ricketts family, so cordial to me, and Crane Kenny. And then I'll tell you one thing. My 2 bosses, everyone's my boss there, but Jim Borkowitz and Max Berman, I have to give out a shot to him. he is unbelievable. He is so thoughtful, so genuine, and you just don't sometimes run through people like that. It's the me world, not him. Max always had time for myself and what I wanted, my needs, and he always took care of me.
Along those lines, Gary, what plans do you have for the future?
Well, R&R and go to my little house out there in Florida and just take it easy and not fight the traffic. It's funny when people will say, what are you going to do now? It's not what am I going to do now, it's what I'm not going to do. And it's fighting that great 2-hour traffic back and forth. But I thought a third of a century is it's long enough.
Long enough. Yeah.
How happy is your wife? Is she pretty happy now that she gets...
Well, no, I am single.
Oh, you are? Okay, gotcha.
That's okay. I don't have any arguments. But my 95-year-old mom, she's with us. She threw out a first pitch, by the way, in 2016.
Oh, wow.
And she told Justin Grimm, who caught the ball, and this is not a lie, she says, with the help of God, you guys are going to win the World Series. Now, of course, we won it, so I tell you that story.
Right.
If we lost, I wouldn't be telling you that. But she had these 17 elephant shells, and elephants are good luck. And Bryant's her favorite player. So this 17 all kicked in. And then, of course, we had, a 17-minute rain delay in Game 7. So, I mean, I don't know. You take it from there. But she threw out a better pitch than I did, that's for sure. She threw out a arthritis split-finger fastball. Yeah.
And they gave you, well, obviously you have a World Series ring. I mean, how much does that mean to have that? I mean, that's the pinnacle of anything, to have that.
Yeah, of any athlete, of anybody that's involved with an organization to win a World Series or an NBA championship or Stanley Cup, whatever it be. But in our case, to win the World Series, at least I can look at that hardware and say, hey, I was part of it. I mean, we won it, and they can't take that away from us. Even if we lost every game the next year, we still were champs in 2017 and 2016. And I got the ring, and I wear it occasionally. And that's another thing that the Ricketts family is so nice that they gave us a beautiful ring, beautiful.
And I have to say that Cubs overall did a great job sending you off. They gave you a scoreboard tile too, right? 33.
Yeah, with 33, and then in the back on the other side, it's custom made. Take me out to the ball game with the words, and it says how many games I did for the Cubs in the years. So that was pretty sweet. And then they gave me a big Benny's wine.
That's awesome. So like you went home, obviously the last game of the season, and I'm sure you did a little reflection on your career. I mean, you're such, you're a pretty blessed person, obviously, to be able to, live out your dreams. And, at the age of 5, you kind of knew what you wanted to do, and you actually did it. I mean,
well, my recollection of the last game was before, when I went to the park. It was a Sunday morning, and praying that it didn't rain, and the rain held off. But I took pictures. I went to the left field corner, and if you remember this, where Billy caught Hank Aaron's fly ball that kept Holtzman's no-hitter going. Took a picture there. I took a picture of the vines in left center. Went to the pitcher's mound, and that was my recollection. I had like a half hour, and again, Max Berman comes through. He says, "Do what you want to do," before the game. I mean, not before the game, like 4 hours before the gates open up. So that was my recollection. I always wanted to do that, and I did. Got the camera and got my memories.
Well, I'm glad too you felt the love of Cub fans, because I'm sure the daily grind of just going up there and doing your job. But there's a lot of people like myself who really appreciated what you brought to Wrigley Field and how you made that atmosphere come alive. I mean, for me, it's been unbelievable, and I'm just one person,
Yeah, like I told you, I must have got 4,600, as I say, hits, because I'm not a computer geek, but I have that, obviously, the iPhone. And my God, I mean, you could just sit there. I got to sit here one day when we're having a blizzard and just read all those, because it's a nonstop. People just keep sending out messages of good wishes, 3-4 weeks after the season's over. And that just tells me that I really did put a staple on people's baseball life.
And you are a part of the Cubs, and you will always be a part of the Cubs. And what I ask you as a fan is, make sure you show up once in a while, and because we're gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you, but I hope you can come back to Club 400 and play the organ. That was one of my other questions. I'm gonna let you go because Johnny's got to go. But you're obviously done playing at Wrigley, but you're not done playing the organ. Do you play? No. Do you play a lot when you're not playing at Wrigley, or?
Well, I mean, now that you're not at Wrigley Field, it's a little different. You're not based on a schedule now. You got more free time, and you don't have to wake up at 6 o'clock after we have a night game that goes maybe 12 innings, and we're doing a day game the next day. Right. So, I'll be free time, freedom time, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
try to get my golf score lower than my bowling score. Let's put it that way.
There you go. I'm gonna miss you. I know that's the thing. Don't get too sad. He's alive and well here. He's actually retired now. He's gonna enjoy his life. But I'm gonna miss you at the Cubs convention this year.
Thank you.
But we're looking forward to having you out to Club 400 soon. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for creating the beautiful sounds of Wrigley Fields for so many years. Thank you for dedication and your loyalty. Thank you for coming out here with the Rizzo event, and thank you for joining us tonight on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And we only wish you the best of health, and enjoy your retirement.
Stu, I want to thank you very much, and I really enjoy those sentiments that everybody has given me.
And I'll tell you what, Gary, you're one of the kindest, nicest gentlemen I've met, and I've met a lot of people. And only wish you the best. Looking forward to having you out here again. And enjoy Florida. Okay, get out of this crappy weather. Okay, all right?
Right. And it's coming too. Yeah,
see, he's the smartest man. He's headed down to Florida. All right.
Thanks, Stu. I appreciate it very much.
All right, thanks a lot, Gary Pressy, organist, 33 years, over 3 decades for the Chicago Cubs. We love you, buddy. Let's play some Gary Pressy music on the way out. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on Club 400 Podcast. My boy William over there and our super producer, Johnny.
Here's to you, men in blue. You're the cream of the crop. You're a team built on dreams. You'll go right to the top. As sure as there's ivy on the center field wall, the men in blue are gonna win it all.
Well, JD, it's been a long, long time since 1945. Yes, all but the Wrigley faithful always kept the spirit alive.
And now's the time, and here's the place we even up the score.
Sing it, son! The hopes are high, and the pennant will fly over Wrigley Field once more.
There's been a lot of talk about the lights at Wrigley Park,
but once we're there, boy, we don't care. We'll play it in the dark.
Do it.
And one more thing before we leave that we'll be telling you.